I did feel like Montreal was ready for game one against the Capitals. They played a pretty solid defensive game. They only gave up 2 goals in regulation. They were allowed to hang around, and they took advantage of the fact that the Caps kind of played with their food.
How should the Habs feel after overtime loss in game one, in which they come back, erase a 2-goal lead or a 2-goal deficit, force overtime, lose on Ovechkin's second?
I really don't think they should be too disappointed or like heartbroken. I know the Love of Your Life was in the overtime stream last night and was like, I feel like I had my heart ripped out. It's like, I don't think you should feel that way. I feel like you should probably be pretty encouraged because like the Habs played Washington close, and this was not like a Washington establishing themselves as alpha game one, similar to the way that Toronto versus Ottawa was. Like, I came away from that series being like, Ottawa's really got to show me something in game two, where like they are they seem ready for this. I did feel like Montreal was ready for game one against the Capitals. They played a pretty solid defensive game. They only gave up 2 goals in regulation. They were allowed to hang around, and they took advantage of the fact that the Caps kind of played with their food. And like, you don't want to do that against Montreal, because Montreal has proven time and time again this season that if you let them hang around, they will like come back and bite you. Like, they are a team. We said it to Frankie Corrado. They're a team that wins more games that they should probably lose than like any other team in the NHL.
I think the Capitals were clearly the better team in that game, and that the Canadiens came alive and pushed really hard in the third period. You can call it score effects, you could call it whatever you want, but isn't that just classic Canadiens? The deserve to lose a meter for the Canadiens was alive and pumping well. They should probably lose this game, and yet you find yourselves in OT. I understand the other side of the coin there is, if you're a Canadiens fan and you just eked into the playoffs, maybe you think we need to win every winnable game. Every game that we say could have come out with a victory there, you have to win, especially when you're playing against the best team in the Eastern Conference. To that I say, just wait till the next one that you're probably going to deserve to lose as well, and you're going to find yourself in a situation where you can win it. This is what the Canadiens do, and this is why you love this Canadiens team, because they do hang around and they will get outplayed by better rosters, which is what happened last night. But in that third period, they found a way to push through and get there. And yeah, they end up a bounce away from winning that game. So who's to say it's not going to happen again? And in the case of this series, relative to other ones we've discussed, where you say, well, are the Senators going to be that unprepared again? Or are the Oilers going to be this flat coming out again? Like, I expect the Capitals to be a little vulnerable just with their psyche in game two as well, where maybe they come out and they're still having a little too much fun. Maybe. And this is a series in which no matter what happens in the next game, unless major injuries occur, when it shifts to the other arena, I say we still got a ball game here. So the Canadiens can fall down 2-0 in this series. They shouldn't want to, but going back to Centre Bell, they should be like, all right, now let's just fucking get one in this atmosphere that could and should overwhelm the Capitals, and we're in this thing. I am not too discouraged if I'm a Canadiens fan.
Definitely not. But I will say, like, if there's one team that I think is more likely to learn a lesson from game one, it's probably Washington. And it's
versus who? Like Senators?
No.
Or like,
versus Montreal.
In this series, yeah.
Versus Montreal. Like, I think Washington, maybe that's a little bit of a wake-up call in game one to say, fellas, Rumpus time is officially over. You are on the verge of losing a game one that really would have scared kind of the pants off you if you lost to Montreal in game one there.
Yeah, but here is where you're doing something that I do sometimes, where you apply logic to something that is illogical. You know, like, what would you do in this situation after that game? You would think like, damn, we almost pissed that one away. Folks, no kids on the ice for practice tomorrow. We are going to hone in and we are going to refocus. That is what you would do because you're a smart person. What makes this Capitals team so wonderful is we're not sure if they're smart.
That's true. Like that could be the high school house party with the drunken kids that almost got caught by the cops, but they managed to sneak away.
So they learn
they have a bigger party the next day.
Right. So they
know
learn
how to
like
get away with
we
it.
don't get caught when we
Yeah,
have parties.
we have no
This rules.
consequences.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, like, I feel like them not giving a shit, like the Caps, like especially at the end of the season and maybe in yesterday, like kind of goes both ways because like I don't think like Ovi is not gonna give a shit about the Bell Center. Like he's gonna get there and he's going to be fine. Obviously, it's more than just him, but like I mean, last night he scored all their goals. Like, he scored 2 other goals. Like I feel like they are not going to allow themselves to get too high or too low in any direction for however long they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, because I mean, like it might partially be just because, like, you know, when you're hungover and it feels
Famously,
like
no.
life isn't real.
Well,
You're
I
just
mean,
living in some like weird simulation.
yeah, I mean, I think about
That's been the Capitals' entire fucking season.
when we were flying back from Edmonton and we were all incredibly tired, and I talked about how like when I experienced turbulence, I was just like, fucking take me. Like I usually get nervous on the plane, and at that time I was just like, I don't give a shit. Like it just like this thing can land safely. It could fall out of the sky.
Whatever, man.
Vibes aren't changing one way or the other.
As long as like I've been
As
brought
long as
to
it-
some conclusion
Yes, exactly.
here.
As long as the plane touches the ground, whether it's in multiple pieces, whether I'm still in it, whatever, it's gonna land eventually.
That honestly might be the Caps, and they might be fucking bulletproof because they just don't give a shit.
They don't
what
give a
happens to
shit.
them.
If I can give one lock, that'll probably be wrong. This is a series that will not be 3-0 after 3 games. Do you agree with that? I think it'll be 2-1 after 3 games, and we don't know which combination it's going to be. But I get and it's like I'm an Oilers fan who would have liked his team to have won that game last night, but can live with the fact that they didn't win the game. I understand how difficult it is when your team is a like true underdog and maybe is there a little earlier than people would have thought. It can still be okay.
Mhm.
That is not you not winning that close winnable game. I understand why you would be like, God, we need every single one of those. I still think they can win this series. I don't think they will, but I think they can.
I am hesitant to call it a lock. I could definitely see a world in which the Capitals sweep this series and they haven't won any of the games by more than a goal.
As Pete
Like-
said, maybe they wake up.
But I mean, I don't think at any point they are going to like start dominating the Canadiens. I think
they can.
I think they can,
definitely
but like
think they
I
can.
don't. I
So
just
wait, you're saying there's going to be like a Panthers on Hurricane sweep, which famously was not a sweep per scientist Rod Brindamore.
yes, like I think I could see a situation because it's like you talked about. It's what the Canadiens have done all year. They keep at the very least keep themselves in games even if they're kind of getting their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like I could see a world in which we get to at least game 3. Maybe they'll steal a game 4 because this is the Capitals and they don't give a shit and they've already won the series. Blah blah blah. But like, yeah, I could see a situation in which the Caps go up 3-0 and they have won games like this one in overtime. They win a 4-3 game, a 4-2 game. Like, yeah,
I would not be shocked if the Caps won next game handily. And I also agree with Rounder in the chat. Like, it may be 2-1 after 3, but I also think that this is going to be 3-1 after 4.
Yeah. Capitals, another team like the Kings who won game 1 and we're awaiting their response in game
Yeah.
2. That happens though, where you come out of a game and you're like, nice to have gotten one, but there's definitely some things that we should work on.
We all silly like the mayor.